Hey, and welcome back to the Rick and Dafs Podcast. I'm Rick.
And I'm Dafs.
And we are here unscripted and raw.
That's right, Rick.
And we're so raw that it's a Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a special podcast, which I'm just going to post right after this.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
No filter.
No filter. Just like Insta.
Rick and Dafs Unfiltered. That should be like our quick hits version.
That sounds like a really bad beer. It's unfiltered. God, I wish they'd filter it. It tastes terrible.
Or super cancerous like cigars.
Unfiltered.
Rick and Dafs Unfiltered.
It hits your Q zone. What?
For that super smooth finish.
You know, the last podcast we did, we talked about like people doing ads, and like I've just been randomly being like, I drive a Firestone. Just because I think it's funny. Anyways, so this is Game of Thrones podcast.
Yeah, spoilers all over the place on this one.
Yeah, so you've been warned now.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to talk about every episode up until now in celebration of the
season finale, which is Sunday. It's only 3 days away from now. 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, totally. It's coming up. And then what are we going to do with our time?
I have no idea.
I don't even know. So spoiler alerts, that has been out of the way. So if you keep listening now, you have nobody to blame for yourself.
Yeah. So where should we start?
That's a good question. Maybe we should recap some of what we feel like we've learned from this season.
So this season, we've learned a few things. One is that Dany is super crushing hard on Jon Snow.
Yeah, that happened really fast.
Happened super fast, and they were really pushing that agenda. I'm almost getting suspicious that it's not going to end up with them being together
simply because they're related, maybe? Well, although it never stopped them in the past.
No, Targaryens always marry.
You know what I was thinking about, and this is randomly tangential, but it works out perfectly for our unscripted and raw format. You know what I was thinking about? So, like the last king and queen were brother and sister, and now our current king and queen, or queen and de facto king, somewhat, are brother and sister.
Yeah.
Like, who's to say that Jon Snow and Daenerys don't end up together anyways as aunt and
nephew?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like it's not unprecedented.
It's not the weirdest thing.
It clearly has happened before in recent memory.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure. And yeah, I'm wondering if George R. Martin's gonna George R. Martin the crap out of this one and have him be like,
murdered.
Yeah. And that's how Jon Snow died for real.
Yeah.
We kept bringing him back just to make you like him more, and now he's dead for real.
Just to give you just to give your hopes as high as they could be.
It's like a super nonchalant thing that kills him too. He like steps out and a wagon hits him, and then he's like, "Oh no!"
No, the kingdom is saved, and he's just going to like pay a bill for like a tailor. Gets run over by a runaway wagon and killed.
Oh,
you've served your purpose.
Right.
The universe doesn't need you anymore.
But speaking of Targaryens, because we know that he is a Targaryen, and is her nephew, there's been some fan theories that think that Tyrion Lannister might be a Targaryen.
Yeah, because he's got that eye. Different eye colors, right? And one of them's like purple or something like that.
Yeah, purple and green or something along those lines.
Targaryens had some... And it would also explain why his dad just hates his guts so much. Maybe he was a...
And why his dad's last words to him were, "You're not my son." That might just be a dead giveaway. We know that Rhaegar or whatever his name was had a super hots for... the Lannister wife, Tyrion's mom, and they're like, you never know. Maybe.
Wait, Rhaegar?
Yeah, whoever the Mad King.
Yeah, the Mad King wasn't Rhaegar though. That was the son of the Mad King.
Oh yeah. But we know.
I was gonna say Rhaegar was getting around. He was abducting the Starks, doing the Lannisters. Man, that would be crazy if they were half brothers,
right? No, but it just turns out that he might be the half sibling of Daenerys. Because, like, we know that her dad liked his mom and they were always like talking in court, and Tyrion's dad was like not into
Tywin.
it. Yeah, Tywin was not having it.
I feel like Tywin is the guy that you invite to a party and he just totally ruins it with responsibility.
Yeah. We also know that Tyrion is the only person who's gotten close enough to touch the dragons and hasn't died, other than Jon Snow and Daenerys. Except for the people who got rescued just recently.
She definitely looked very suspicious at Jon Snow, when he was like touching those dragons.
Yeah. She's like, what are you doing to my dragon,
why
bro?
Why is that dragon so calm?
Yeah.
I feel very unsettled.
She's like,
maybe that's what gave her the hots for him.
Maybe. She was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that came on fast. I have a friend, so we're going to go into this end of the last episode, who texted me vigorously and was like, what happened there? Because he was very upset that the dragons didn't just come out and kill the Night King.
Yeah, they kind of avoided that.
But here's my thought. Not to explain it away, because they definitely probably could have tried to burn the Night King. Mm-hmm. But Daenerys doesn't even know where they are. She's just like looking for them. She doesn't even know anything about the Night King. She doesn't know any. Like, they just learned on that trip that if they killed the walkers, that the other guys would die. Yeah. So how is she gonna know? Oh, just like kill that guy and the war's over.
Yeah, it would have been a useful thing for Jon or any one of them to shout.
True.
Hey, that guy who just killed one of your children, take revenge on him, and incidentally, you'll also save the world.
Well, that's a fair point. However, I think at that point in time, emotions were running high with Viserys getting unceremoniously gunned down in the prime of life with an ice spear.
He's back, just not quite himself.
He's not playing for the right team.
No.
That was like, okay, that's the other thing, is where do they get those giant chains?
Yeah.
Are they like if I find out that they're building massive ships, like massive oil tankers or something, then I'll be like, okay, I guess that they might have forged those chains. But I feel like zombies wouldn't have the ability to forge those kind of heavy chains.
Unless they're bringing those chains with them to get over the wall. Because they're marching toward the wall already. So
I'm just saying, where do those chains come from?
I don't know. They're pretty heavy too.
I also feel like, don't get me wrong, I just feel like trying to use somebody's dragon against them, I don't know how well that's going to work out.
It is a risky move.
It's a risky move because I just feel like there's something special about the bond between a crazy woman and her dragon.
Yeah. Quick aside, that scene on the lake, they actually filmed that on a quarry. They had pour cement to make it flat and then paint it to look like an ice lake.
Yeah.
But it was it's a huge set. It took forever to do and stuff. It was great. But there's one scene in that episode you can definitely see a Chevy pickup truck slowly driving in the background.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Somebody pointed it out. It's right when that one guy falls off the ledge and it gets eaten by the swarm of them.
Oh, I was way too distracted by seeing him get eaten alive and then immediately look up at Jon Snow.
Yeah. You look up at Jon Snow and Jon Snow's looking down at him, and then in the background it's like a rock. It's just right there.
I definitely didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Some eagle-eyed fans out there.
Oh yeah.
So here's my prediction, and I first was feeling I'm very smart. But now I'm wondering if a lot of people have this prediction. I totally think that in the end, now this isn't necessarily this next episode, I don't think that's going to happen then, but I definitely think at the end of the series, at some point in time in the next season, Jaime's going to kill Cersei.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me earlier, and I think you might be right.
I have many reasons for this. One, he's done it before. He clearly has the ability to think about the morality of whatever's happening. Mm-hmm. And I think even if it wasn't his dad's army that was marching on the Mad King, I still think he would have stabbed him. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he is concerned by Cersei's increasing craziness. And I think he will be the one who will be like, whoa, there's an army of dead marching on Westeros. We're all going to die, and you're going to kill us all, trying to be the last person on top before the army of the dead wipes us out, Cersei. Yeah. And also, let's not forget that her name is freaking Circe, which sounds like what? Caesar. What happened to Caesar? He was stabbed to death by his own men. Include et tu, Brute, et tu, Jaime.
I don't think that she's gonna be quite so startled by the walker, by the zombie undead thing, because she has the mountain, who she knows is undead.
Maybe she's gonna think she can control them.
She's gonna be like, they're not that bad.
I can use this to my advantage.
My best friend's an undead zombie. What? No, but yeah. So I don't think that she's gonna be taking it seriously. I think Jamie will take it very seriously.
Well, that's because but that's the one thing. Like, there's definitely, if you wanted to, like, there's like shades of like corporate whatever America in there, where she's like the CEO being like, go do this and do that. It's not so bad. And he's like the grunt guy, like actually doing it. And he's like, this is horrible. Like, all of my men are getting murdered.
Yeah.
Or actually just regular America, or anywhere really where the president or king is like, go fight those guys, and then you're all getting murdered.
She tells him that she's pregnant. I don't think she's pregnant.
Well, yeah, I don't think
that's
she's
a lie.
pregnant either. Because like she goes like and visits some like crazy seer lady when she's younger, who says she's gonna have 3 kids.
Yeah.
So she's definitely not gonna have the kid.
Yeah.
She's gonna die either before the kid is born, or she's not having a kid.
Yeah. See, I like these predictions. I have predictions while watching the show, and I'm not allowed to say them out loud because Stacy strongly dislikes when I call out a plot point before it happens. And I've been pretty good at them. Like, for instance, I knew that one of the dragons was going to die. And then as soon as they showed up and the Ice King like looked at the dragon and had it look in there, I'm like, he's going to effing kill that dragon and turn it into a zombie dragon. And then bam, that's what happened.
Dang.
And Stacey was like, give me this kind of very untrusting gaze when I was like, uh-huh. And she's like, So no, I like to kind of imagine the worst possible outcome, which usually is what George R. R. Martin does for us.
In Game of Thrones is probably the best you can hope for.
Yeah.
Here's my question now, going into like just like guesswork now. So like we haven't heard, like, we know that Littlefinger's up to something. Obviously, he's clearly trying to undermine the relationship between Sansa and Arya.
Yeah.
And he's definitely being successful. Halfly because Arya is stupid.
I don't know if she is.
I don't know what she's... at least for me, on my end, because I love Sansa,
Yeah.
I'm like, you need counseling. You just got back your sister and your whole family, and you're like just threatened to murder one of them.
Yeah.
So like, what's wrong with you?
So here's the thing. I read this fan theory, and now I'm convinced that she is not crazy, that she is playing Littlefinger on the long con. Because she has these bag of faces. She can walk around looking like anyone. And she's got these regular faces, people who he's never met before. She chooses to snoop around as herself. Then she takes all this time like picking the lock and going through all his things very haphazardly, to find this little scroll. But we know that she can snoop around without being seen and without being hurt. For instance, when Sansa goes in to like look in her bag to like try to find, all the stuff, and ends up finding those bag of faces, Sansa like is slowly creaking the door open and is like cringing because it's such a loud, squeaky door. Arya goes through that door with zero sound.
That's true.
Like, she is a next level ninja. And I think that, and every single time they have an argument, have you noticed? It's out in a public space. She only argues with Sansa, like, on the boardwalk. Or on the, like...
She argued with her in a room, though.
In the room on that one. But that, I don't know. I think that she's playing it so that Littlefinger would think they're separating them. And really, she's like, no, we're fine.
Well, then why doesn't she just dress as somebody else and murder Littlefinger?
Well, she totally should.
Well, what's her plan there? Also, why hasn't Bran just been like, since he knows everything, he called him out. He basically said Chaos is the ladder as a callback to that other episode.
Yeah.
Like, so he knows everything.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he just be like, hey, Sansa, that guy's done all of this stuff. Hey, Arya, he's manipulating you. Like, what's the deal there?
Bran is useless, man.
He's super useless.
He like looked into the void and then was like, All right, so I'm the void now.
Yeah, he's crossed over.
Yeah.
He's not really part of humanity anymore.
There was something interesting because he's outside of time now and all that. There's a side-by-side comparison of the Night King and Bran. They look a lot alike.
Are you saying that Bran is the Night King?
Why
would he be the Night King?
I have no idea.
Doesn't
I just
he
saw
go
a
there
picture
to
side by
stop?
side,
Why
and I
would
was
he be-
like,
Why
huh.
would he be telling them where the Night King is then?
I don't know.
There's definitely some mythology that we're going to get to know because they just talk about the old like North gods, but they don't really say anything about them or like clearly, and like there's like the spirit children or whatever.
Yeah, there's children in the forest. There's the first men. There's all those people that were over in Valeria, and then they all like came over here, and then Valeria is like just ash and burning or something, and no one goes there anymore. And I'm like, really? There's a whole area that had dragons and like fire and brimstone and cool stuff, and you guys just all agreed that no one will get curious ever and go there? That doesn't sound like it'd last.
Maybe Daenerys is going to go there in search of new dragons.
Right? It'd be the first place I'd go look.
Especially if you know you can't get burned by them.
Yeah.
And you've got like at least now 2 full-grown dragons.
Yeah. You bring a dragon as your street cred.
Bring your strongest one. Is it Aegon?
Aegon, I think.
Yeah, bring him. Go on down there.
Yeah.
See what's going on.
So the undead dragon, my prediction is that it's going to breathe not fire but ice, and that the ice is not going to kill people. It's going to kill them and make them undead soldiers instantly.
That's horrifying.
Because how effective would that be in a battle? If you can just like, instead of like, oh, I killed half your side, I just took your numbers away and added to my numbers in one breath.
It's just like the Borg in the Battle of the Five-Way Army.
It totally is.
But don't forget who ultimately won that battle?
All
the ants of the world.
All the ants in the world.
What correlation does that have to this? I don't know. Also, who's going to tell Sam that he's now like the Lord of House Tarly?
Yeah, I feel so bad for this guy. He's just like bumbling around, curing uncurable diseases,
I know, right?
Almost learning really valuable information, and then telling Gilly to shut up and like just beforehand. And then he is like the lord of his house, and no one's told him, oh, by the way,
your dad and brother have been burned to death.
Yeah.
And now John is like friends with the person that burned them to death.
Yeah. That's going to be a bit weird.
Yeah.
That's going to be a strange Thanksgiving.
It's going to be an odd reunion.
No kidding.
Also, why isn't Bran like, hey, John, I need to talk to you immediately. Stop sailing away. Stop like,
Well, okay, so that's the other thing
And
too.
why does she bring the King of the North all the way to like that meeting? Why did he go?
I don't know. The other thing too that's kind of bizarre is we know that Bran can talk through the were trees, like the white trees, and like because he even said something I think to Sansa or someone, and they like turned and looked, and he was like, "I can communicate through them." There's got to be a white tree down there somewhere. Also, he can control all these crows. You're telling me he couldn't like tap out Morse code? That by the way, you're a Targaryen. Also, I'm a crow now.
Or he could easily give a crow one of those things and then just fly it there himself.
Send a note.
Like and like you're controlling it so you can ensure that it gets there, right?
Right. I'm like absolutely baffled that like so many people are dropping the ball on this
and not telling Jon Snow that he's
like no one is communicating.
Well, she's definitely gonna find out at some point in time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when's that gonna happen? Probably 2 days from now, I guess. This episode is called The Wolf and the Dragon, or The Dragon and the Wolf. So it's definitely got something to do with Dany and Jon.
Yeah.
The other thing that somebody pointed out to me was that if Rhaegar actually married the Stark woman, I can't remember her name.
I don't know. Whatever.
Anyways, if she actually was married, then he's not a bastard anymore.
No.
Then he's Jon Targaryen.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a intense name.
Yeah. And he still would not have a claim higher than Daenerys.
Well, actually,
but
It depends, because back in the olden times, like with kings and such, it would go to the oldest son, but then if the oldest son was dead, it would go to his oldest son. So like it wouldn't even go to the next in line unless there were nobody viable to take the throne.
Yeah, it doesn't
Like,
go to brothers and sisters until after their heirs
yeah,
are
like
gone.
right now, like technically Harry, right? He's the younger brother of William, like of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Princess Diana and Prince Charles, their
Yeah.
kids, William and Harry.
Yeah.
Like technically he's now like third in line or fourth in line,
Yeah.
because William has, I think, 2 sons now.
Yeah.
So he's behind all of those people to be king. So like something terrible would
Which
have
is
to happen for him to
Probably
be king.
for the best, let's be honest. Harry's a little wild.
He's the king who'll bring back partying.
Did you hear about that thing? How he was playing strip billiards with a bunch of gals, and he ended up being totally in the buff, and he's like lining up an 8-ball shot, and someone took a picture of him, and it like the tabloids got it, and like you only see like half a cheek, that's about it. But like he's also in the military, because like you have to be in the military, I guess, if you're part of the royal family
At some
That's-
point in
that's a
time, yeah.
thing. And so all these British servicemen have been doing the Harry, where they just like stand there at full attention with their rifles and stuff, and then they're completely naked, and only there are like artillery and stuff is covering them up. It's become such a problem. They've had to like send out like memos and
Well,
orders.
I guess William is a helicopter pilot, and he like his last day was recently.
That's cool.
He's not going to do it anymore because now he's getting, like, the queen is getting closer to.
Dude, the queen
Yeah.
is so old.
I know. It's going to be a big deal when she dies.
Let's talk about that though real quick. So Daenerys and Jon are both super young, right?
But she says she's never going to have any kids.
That doesn't matter though, because wait, no, it kind of does. Anyway, but
It
she
super matters.
She'd live for a super long time, but they said that you will not have any kids until the east. The sun sets in the east or the west, and something else. Like so, it's definitely a riddle. She could have kids, but weird prophecy things would have to happen. But you wonder, like
Maybe
okay,
the sun is like a person.
right? Or I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, but maybe she'll be, because they kind of hinted at she needs a successor, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be like, well, since he's your nephew, we can put John as the next, and his family can take on the
Yeah.
whoever it may be.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, anybody could be a Targaryen. They're like the new Cylons. Wait, you're a Targaryen too?
I'm a Targaryen.
I'm half
I
Targaryen.
just found out I'm a Targaryen.
How's everybody find it? It's Ancestry.com. Yeah, you just type it in. It's crazy.
That's the weirdest. What? That's a coincidence. Did you text me that thing where it was like that? That meme of John with the sword.
Oh yeah, yeah. John,
He's talking to Jorah.
John and Jorah, and he's like, "Here, it belongs to you." And it's like, no, it's definitely more for you, and you'll take good care of it in your strong, caring, brooding hands. And he's like, "We're still talking about the sword, right?" He's like, "Yep." Just two dudes talking about a sword.
Clearly not talking about the sword.
And then I like that one. And then there's a great picture of Daenerys like looking over at Jon like slyly, and he's like kind of like rolling his eyes or blushing, and it says, when he keeps telling you winter is coming, but all you're excited about is the 8 inches of snow.
Oh gosh,
And I was like, dear Lord.
that's intense.
That is, and we know that he's not 8 inches long because they make fun of his size of his pecker, as they say when they raise him from the dead.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I don't remember that. I just remember that one guy, the squire to Brielle.
Oh, Todrick?
Yeah, Podrick.
He's like apparently the best lover in
I
all of
know.
Westeros.
He gives him some money, and he comes back with all of it, and I think like a tip or something
Yeah.
like that.
They gave the money back.
Tyrion's like, what? How
Yeah.
did this happen?
That is, and then
Apparently he's just amazing in bed.
and then the brothel gal, the madam, asked the girls like, describe it, and they said it was indescribable, and she's like, and these women's job are to describe things in detail. So,
I
but
thought
yeah,
that was a nice comedy bit.
And it wasn't in the books either. They just decided they were going to throw that in for fun.
It was a nice wrinkle to his character.
Yeah.
Gave him some good depth, if you catch my drift.
Yes. But yeah, the Onion Knight, he makes like a quick joke aside to John, because he's like naked and being resurrected on the table, and he makes like a joke about his dick size, and he was like, "Thanks, dude." Like it was just like, it was very dry and like right before a battle or some shit. Like it just did not make any sense. And he's like, by the way, what?
He was trying to lighten the tension.
I think so.
When things get hard. That's what she said.
Right?
Well, here's one of my other thoughts that people have been writing about on the internets, is that apparently a lot of this stuff happened like in the past. Like a lot of the seeds of the rebellion and all those things were sown at some like tourney that they had, some like jousting tournament or something like that, where Rhaegar sees Ned's sister. Apparently also at the same time, some like knights beat up like some squires or something like that, and then some random knight, I can't remember the name of him, like shows up and takes out all these other guys, and like people are surmising that perhaps that knight of the smiling tree, I think that's what the name of it was, the sister of Ned Stark. What's her name?
Lillian, or
yeah. Anyways,
so it would have been a gal.
Yeah, and so they're saying that that's her, and that's Lyanna. They're saying that she is the Knight of the Smiling Tree, and that has something to do with a prophecy. And I'm not quite sure exactly what that's supposed to mean.
I have no idea.
But apparently that has something to do with everything as well.
You know what kind of confused me? In the books, I don't know if you guys have at home have all read the books, but in the books, Lady Catherine, the Stark's mom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely not dead.
Yeah, that's what I
like
hear.
She gets her throat cut, and then she's like raised by one of the Red Priestesses, and like is like a half undead zombie who's like eventually like going around, and like they haven't like alluded to her in the books since then, but she's part of it.
Do you think she'll be back?
Oh well, why else would you mention that?
Well, here's the other thing. No, I just totally forgot my thought. Reek.
Yeah,
like is not like. Reek, I think in the books, is actually Ramsay, like doing things, and like they kind of switchtit all. Like the story with Theon and Ramsay has been like totally.
It's kind of strange. Theon Greyjoy becomes Reek, but Ramsay Bolton had a friend who was really weird and creepy, named Reek. They don't really. Something horrible happened to him, I think. I think Ramsay ends up killing him or something like that.
Well,
but like,
that's not shocking.
But then he like makes Theon the new Reek.
It's weird,
and it's just very strange.
Yeah,
these books are strange when you say them out loud.
Well, it's just basically a bunch of really messed up people doing terrible, unspeakable evils to each other,
and none of it is at all related to history.
Yeah, right.
War of the Roses.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happened back in the day.
But yeah.
So yeah, to wrap it up, what are your predictions then for this season finale? What, like, if you had to guess? Season
finale, they're all going to agree to fight the army of the dead, but Cersei is going to be like, yeah, we'll definitely fight. And she's going to like try to double cross them for sure. The wall is going to come down. They're going to destroy that wall. The dragon will do it, or the chains or something. And that's going to be like now they're here. So
you're thinking
they're in the north.
You're thinking the end of this episode ends with the zombies breaking through.
Probably. And taking out like the night castles. Something like that. I think that's going to happen. I think that you're going to have Brienne and what's his name? The big wildling guy who likes her.
Oh yeah.
I think they're gonna have at least a few more eye moments where they're kind of looking at each other. And I think for sure you're gonna have the Hound tease her about it. Because she thought he killed him,
but she didn't.
And he's gonna be like, "Hey,
I'm still alive.
So 1, fuck you, and then 2, I hear that guy likes you.
Okay,
that's even funnier.
That brings me to another, like, this gives me a good question for you. So what's the deal with the Hound? Like, he's kind of like been on this like pseudo-religious quest. Like, his like whole, like, the fact that he's still in the show is very bizarre to me.
It's because, full circle, man, there's going to be the Clegane Bowl. It's going to be the Hound versus the Mountain.
Oh.
Same reason that, like, he's hated them, and his whole life came from this guy being a jerk. And that guy's still around and is now one of the undead. And the Hound is all about the Lord of Light now, like, begrudgingly, granted. And he's going to kill this guy.
Wait, do you think that there's a possibility that the Mountain turns on Cersei and kills her?
Dude, she's
undead.
There's no way that he is playing for anyone's team but the evil side. Like, Lady Catherine could come back because Catelyn has like the love for her family, and she could maybe withstand that. But she's not even in the freaking show. They wrote her out.
Yeah. Well, you never know. She'd come back. If I was an actress, I'd go back.
And Uncle Benjamin was there, which was kind of cool. Cold Hands.
Yeah. Well,
although he had way cooler stuff in the book. He was riding like a giant undead elk, which was awesome.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, and then now they've got that one guy, the bastard of Robert Baratheon.
Oh yeah,
he's come back. Like
Gendry.
What? Yeah. So like, what's interesting is they're kind of gathering like people from all the great houses.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think about it, like think those are the the four great houses are all represented now.
Yeah.
With Daenerys because she's Targaryen, got a Stark, a Baratheon, and a Lannister.
Yeah, the only one that's not there is the House of the Roses. That got totally obliterated.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Well, all their heirs got
blown up
in a giant green blaze.
That was unfortunate.
That was well played.
Yeah, that was well, except for the part where you secure your son and make sure he doesn't kill himself. Yeah, well played, Cersei.
Yeah,
well played.
She overlooked that.
That's a shame. So yeah, if I had to make a prediction, I'm honestly really struggling. I'm seeing long-term predictions, but I'm really having a hard time making any sort of short-term predictions. I honestly feel like we're all like thinking something big is gonna happen, and I feel like it's just gonna end with them all like talking out the entire episode.
There has to be one big cliffhanger though that brings people back and keeps them talking about it. Something shocking is going to happen at some point that like none of us see it coming.
Tyrion gets killed by poison.
I don't think Tyrion's going to die. One of the fan theories is that he's going to be the one on the Iron Throne because he is the reincarnation of one of the old Targaryens, and that like because like there's a prophecy and he's apparently fulfilled almost all of them now, and like even though he didn't like mean to, so he's like Azul Hale or something like that, whatever it's called. I don't know, some weird name, but yeah, I don't think he's gonna die.
You don't?
No, he's everyone's favorite character.
He's not my favorite character.
Well, I mean, everyone that counts.
Oh, that's harsh.
What do you think is gonna happen with the Red Witch? Because she said she's coming back.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because there's a couple characters that are just kind of floating out around in the ether almost that you haven't seen for a while that are still like the Red Witch is definitely one of them. Mm-hmm. We don't know actually what happened to Theon's sister.
Yeah.
She's in the capital somewhere.
Yep.
We haven't followed back up with those the Ladies of Dorne. I mean, we know that the one sister is dead probably because she was kissed with that terrible poison.
Yeah, she's dead. The mother is caught and is trapped there. I'm assuming forever.
Yeah.
And then the other ones were cut down.
Yeah. So like there's like a whole kind of arc there and then we haven't seen the Greyjoy King for at least an episode.
Yeah.
If not, is it 2 episodes or is it just
Tyrion.
one? Yeah. And that guy's crazy.
He's awesome. He is. I like him, and I like Cersei for their evil factor because they're just so evil. But like, they're like, if you had no soul, that's what we'd all do too.
That's what we, if you could even pull it off.
If you could be as evil as possible, that's what it would look like.
I don't think that if I could be as evil as possible, I would take up that mantle. But that's just me. I think I'm more attracted to people who are just kind of rogues and just do what they want.
And let's not forget, we still have Grey Worm and the Unsullied that are like freaking trapped over in Castle Rock, and they have to march back across the entire continent.
Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe they should just burn Castle Rock to the ground.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do. And then salt the earth so nothing will ever grow again.
Right.
William the Conqueror style.
Right?
Okay, if you wanted to do like one hot take, just for prediction purposes, just to like, for us to have a little something that we could come back to and be like, whoa, you were way off on that. Just something crazy. What's the craziest thing you see happening in this finale?
I think that Arya is going to kill someone she's not supposed to, and is going to get on the bad side of Jon. I think that someone will be on her list, and like they'll have like Jon will have made peace with them and all that kind of stuff.
The Hound.
And
the Hound will come back and she'll just stab him.
Or Tyrion.
Ooh,
because she hates all the Lannisters.
That's true.
Or
I don't think Tyrion is on her list though.
I don't know. I totally imagine her just like pulling off a face from a random person in the crowd and being like, "Hey, it's me!" Stab, stab, and then Jon being like, "No."
So that's your big prediction for the season finale?
Is that
she's gonna kill somebody she shouldn't have,
or that she'll end up getting like captured in a way, and then now she'll be a bargaining chip that keeps Jon Snow in check. He'll have to choose his loyalty
because she's too wild.
Yeah,
she's untamable. That's actually, if you were going to make a crazy prediction, that's actually probably one of the most reasonable ones I could think of. Mine is probably not going to happen. It's more just wishful thinking. Mm-hmm. I think I am hoping that we get something out of Sansa, like looking like leadership of any kind, really, because I feel like she like recaptured herself and was like, like looking for all the world, like she had found like some sort of something, and now with the return of Arya, she's just like all mixed up again.
Yeah,
and like Arya has totally gotten in her head, and she doesn't even know what she's doing anymore. And I would like to see her. I think my big prediction is that all of a sudden she figures something out and she acts instead of reacting. Because I feel like recently she had been just like trying to get through, and then all of a sudden she realized, like, she grasped a hold of some power, and she like took control of the situation, and now I feel like she's just letting things spiral away.
She's very reactive right
now.
I'd
like to see her be active. So my prediction is that she does something rash. Perhaps maybe she arrests Arya or Littlefinger. I'm going to say she arrests one of those two and throws him in a dungeon.
How great would it be if she arrested Littlefinger and
then Littlefinger took off a mask
and it was Arya and he'd been dead for like a week. Like, she killed him the second he got the scroll, and she was like, okay, no, he needs to die. And then she's just been like playing both sides. What if she's making a grab for power? She wouldn't do this, but what if she did? What if she has been the one going around conspiring with everyone as Littlefinger? Like, after she followed him and listened in, then she killed him, took his face, and now she's been like trying to get people to like move and fortify.
I think that like, honestly, if I was gonna take all the stuff we've talked about, I think that would probably be our best joint hot take, is that Arya will reveal herself to have been being somebody who we thought was alive this whole time, who was actually dead.
That would be awesome.
At the end of this episode,
that would be awesome.
All of a sudden, it's like the end of the episode, and then she just takes off a mask, and you're like, what?
I would love that.
That would be mind-blowing.
Yeah.
She would redeem herself in my eyes because I've been kind of just not digging how she's been treating Sansa.
Oh man. Well, and Sansa is supposed to go down to do that big meeting, and she said Brienne instead. What if Arya goes and catches up, and it's one of the big 8 people are there, and then it's Arya, and she pulls a face off, and she's one of them, and she's like,
yeah, you know
listen
what?
Oh man.
I think that I'm thinking that that's probably going to be the most likely scenario, that Arya ends up being at this meeting that she's not supposed to be at as somebody she's not, like, who we think is alive but is really actually totally dead.
And she'll do it so she can understand, like, is Dany really a good person? Is Jon gone too far?
Yeah, totally. No, I'm into that. So that's our official Rick and Dafs prediction.
There you go.
That
Arya causes some stuff.
Arya causes chaos. That sounds fairly reasonable, honestly.
Right.
Arya causing mayhem and mischief sounds like a pretty reasonable bet for any Game of Thrones episode.
Agreed.
My complete outside of the box prediction, the entire thing gets blown up and there's like nobody left to be in charge.
Yeah, they just
It's like if at the like State of the Union the whole building blew up, and now all of a sudden the guy who's like in charge of agriculture is the president. It falls to like, I don't know who's the next. It's Arya or Sansa is all of a sudden the rightful queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
Are you referencing the show, The Sole Survivor?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a weird show, but
it was
yeah.
super weird. But
Super.
yeah, no, Sansa has to like that would just be super trippy. She's just now all of a sudden in charge of the Seven Kingdoms, and everybody's like, "Well, what are we gonna do?" She's like, well, we're all gonna die."
Yeah, right. For real.
There's no hope. Is there any way we could sail away? Just abandon this island to its Westeros, to the demons and the dead people. We just won't go there anymore. Kind of like we did with that other land with all the dragons.
Right?
Everyone's like, agreed.
We've already moved once.
Yeah.
We can do it again.
We can do it again. It's just like when we trash Earth, we'll just go find another Earth.
Right.
And we'll trash that one. It's much easier than cleaning up the one we have now. Well,
Before we finish up,
okay.
I do want to say one thing.
Sure.
If you are super jealous of those wonderful fur capes and beautiful
Capettes?
capettes that they have,
I think they're just capes all the way around.
You can make your own. There is a how-to guide because one of the set designers for Game of Thrones revealed that all those things that Jon Snow and everyone's wearing, the giant fur and the cape, it's just regular old fabric with a rug from IKEA sewn on the top with a hole cut out. They're like, yeah, those furs, they're just from IKEA. They're like $12.99.
Except for like sewn by a professional like movie seamstress or seamster.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it. They're like, they were really easy to make. We banged them out in half an hour.
That's amazing.
I'm like, what?
They look cool.
They look great.
Although I'm really not into wearing capes.
I love capes.
I wish that it was, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I wish that wearing a cloak was like somehow fashionable because I would
Yeah.
totally be all over that. I mean, you can still move your arms. You are warm. You have a hood. You could do nefarious deeds.
I like long coats too. They're just not as popular as they used to be.
No, you look like you're an old gunslinger. You do, at least, with your mustache. You look like Wyatt Earp in Tombstone.
Right.
You should definitely shave it down to where you can now instead look like Doc Holliday in Tombstone. I'm your Huckleberry. And you just start indiscriminately shooting and beating people up. Not me, though.
Chaotic neutral.
Chaotic neutral. That'd definitely be chaotic evil. You just start murdering people for no reason. If you had to classify each of these characters as a D&D character,
Oh, you totally could do that.
definitely is Cersei lawful or unlawful evil?
She is. There's what? There's lawful. There's neutral. and then there's chaotic, and then there's
Also
evil.
unlawful.
Is there?
Yeah, there's unlawful. She would definitely be an unlawful evil.
Yeah.
Because she'll do whatever it takes. I actually think Daenerys is chaotic good.
Yeah.
Because she is, like, going to her own drum. She's not going to, like, she doesn't care what conventional wisdom is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think Jon Snow
Probably
is lawful good. He tries as hard as he can to obey all the rules.
Which is unfortunate, because that's definitely going to get him killed
Oh,
again.
yeah, again. We just were there, man.
I would say that Tyrion is unlawful good. If that's even a thing. If I had to put something together for him, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Arya is definitely
Chaotic neutral.
maybe. She's like chaotic good. She tries to do good, but she just like I'll try, but if I end up stabbing you and
I think
you
Sansa's
weren't
just
that great.
neutral.
Yeah.
Like, she is. I've said this before. The reason why I like Sansa so much is she is the everyman in the story.
She is.
She is the one person who you can connect to. You can't connect to Arya and her crazy, like, sword work, face stealing. You can't connect to a man who's been stabbed and then come back to life. You can't connect to a woman who rides dragons around like she's riding a pony.
Nope.
You also can't connect, probably, to a woman who sleeps with her brother.
Yeah, that's more of a stretch.
All I'm saying is she is the character that is the most easily identifiable with. And I feel like in some ways, I think we experience the realism of the show through Sansa and what has happened to her and how she responds to the happenings in the world.
Yeah, her responses are definitely the most reasonable for everyone to kind of believe.
Yeah.
Like, we would probably have similar reactions.
Yeah, we are Sansa, essentially. Like, we have no, like, skills to fight anybody. We kind of don't know what's going on. We'd probably, like, if it wasn't for our name, if we were dropped into that world, we'd probably be dead.
Sam is like that, too, a lot, too.
Sam is, like, we're finding, though, is very smart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sansa's not dumb, but Sam is unquestionably one of the smarter people in the land.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that's all I'm saying.
Well, there you have it. Flowing, streaming thought of Rick and Dafs Podcast.
Yes, we are bringing that to... I mean, and I know there's a lot of Game of Thrones shows out there, but there are not many Game of Thrones shows that will go through and talk about whether they are chaotic good or neutral.
That's true.
And will... Well, actually, they'll do most of the rest of the stuff that we did. But they won't have the same flair. And they probably weren't drunk while they were doing it. So, we were drinking water. Anyways. I think that just about covers this special episode of the Rick and Dafs Podcast, right?
If you've made it this far, why?
I thought you were going to say mom.
Yeah, right. No. Okay. Funny aside. I was gonna say mom, right?
Yeah.
And then I talked to her.
She doesn't
She just
listen.
listened to my show.
Yeah. Well,
She's
she doesn't
like-
love you very much.
No, apparently not. I was like, yeah. Mom, I talk to you all the time. And she's like, really? Where? I'm like, on my podcast.
Did she feel like a bad mom when you said that, or was she just indifferent?
And totally indifferent. And she
Totally
was like,
indifferent.
oh, I don't listen to your podcast. And I was like,
It sucks.
you don't? I thought you did. She's like, well, no. Like, you sent me one, and I said, oh, that's great, honey. But I didn't, listen to it. And I was like, oh.
Did that give you all of a sudden realizations of your entire life? You're like, hey, mom, look at this. And she's like, yeah, good work, honey. Didn't actually, read the card you gave her for her birthday. Didn't like anything you've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Just more was, blanket ethical and moral support.
Pretty much.
That's unfortunate. It explains a lot.
So much.
Without parental guidance, no wonder you've become the person you are.
I honestly don't know anybody other than Stacy in my family listens to this.
I don't know.
I could trash talk everyone.
Yeah, your dad's like, have you listened to Daft's podcast recently? Everybody's like, no. He's like, well, you should. It's just there's an episode called Airing the Family Laundry Part 1. It's an hour long.
It's a weekly airing of grievances.
It's part 1 of 20.
He
is just slamming our family.
He hasn't even made it into the 90s yet. He was 3.
Okay, when he switched to this new format, he just started picking up tons of followers. Yeah. This thing is getting like 1,000 hits a day.
Everyone hates us.
Everyone hates us. Just somebody like so the newspaper kids like riding by, he's like throwing the things out there like, oh hey Timmy, he's like, get bent, Mr. Brantner. Throws it, hits the paper, hits him in the face with it. I know what you did in 1993. Poor 6-year-old Dafs. All right, so I think that just about does it. Yep. My name is Rick.
My name is Dafs.
And have a good one.